Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Code Live with Google Cloud. We are covering GenAI with 2 million tokens. My name is Mark Mandel. I take lead developer relations for gaming on Google Cloud. So I do backends for multiplayer games, but I'm not very exciting at all. I am joined by the amazing, fantastic, vivacious Caslin Fields. Caslin, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Again, actually, I think at this point, thank you for having me, because I think you've been on more this season than I have so far.
Well, now I just need to have you on the Kubernetes podcast.
Again, I think, or I'm not sure. Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy.
I think you've been on it in the past, but yeah.
Anytime, more than happy. But Caslin, tell people about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I was also on the last episode, but I am Caslin Fields. I am a GKE and open source Kubernetes focused developer advocate at Google Cloud. I do a lot of stuff in the open source Kubernetes community. I'm a co-chair of the special interest group for contributor experience, co-lead of a sub-project also in that SIG, CNCF ambassador. So lots of stuff in the CNCF and open source Kubernetes ecosystem.
You do
and a co-host of the Kubernetes podcast.
The Kubernetes podcast. I've heard a bit about that. I believe it is excellent. Are we doing something with the Kubernetes podcast today?
In fact, we are.
That was a fantastic segue, I feel.
Excellent. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. So I have some exploration that I want to do with the Kubernetes podcast from Google.
Okay.
So to set the scene a little bit, give everyone a little bit of context.
A mental picture, if you will.
Running a podcast is hard.
It is. I've also done this. Yes, it is a ton of work.
Number one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Which that experience should hopefully come in handy for us today.
Yeah.
I would love to hear more stories about that. But to give people a sense for how the Kubernetes podcast from Google is run, we publish on a bi-weekly cadence. So every other week we publish an episode, which we are quite consistent at now, and took a little bit to figure that out.
Fortnightly for those people who don't usually live in the United States. That's fine. Please continue.
Yeah. You could say that.
I have a certain irritation with that word. It's fine.
Fair. Yeah. It is. Yeah. Anyway, so since we're publishing every other week, we have cadence with which we need to have our interviews done. So we have like a backlog of guests that we want to interview and topics that we want to interview people about. We pick out which ones are going to be in the schedule. We lay out our schedule, and then we decide the dates when the interview needs to be done and when the news and chatter segments, the segments at the beginning and the end of the episode, need to be done. Because all of that stuff needs to be sent off to our wonderful human editors who do a fantastic job with the podcast.
Yes.
And so one thing in all of this that I would love to streamline more is if you go to kubernetespodcast.com, our website.
Did you want to show it? Yeah.
And I will show that. Let me see. Oh, yes, I have it up already. Here we go.
Dude, perfect. So you can actually see it. You can see it in action.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Or ta-da! So if you go to the website, yeah.
I don't know.
And if you look at any given episode, we have these links that we offer. So we, as we're putting everything together, we call these the show notes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they aren't what maybe you would first think of as show notes, which might be like a summary of the episode. No, instead, the show notes are a set of links for things that were mentioned in the episode that folks might want to go off and learn more about. Yep. Or say we mention a talk that happened at a conference and that was recorded, and we want people to be able to go and watch that talk if they want to see it. So that's the main purpose of the show notes, is to capture things that people might want to learn more about and offer those links.
So,
and in order to do this,
sorry, I was going to say, as a procedural question, the news of the week, do you normally prep those links beforehand? I see you have 2 sections. You have news of the week and then links from the interview. News of the week, and then you might do it beforehand.
From the post-interview chat as well.
Oh my God. Okay. So which, are we trying to do all of it? We're trying to or do you normally have news of the week beforehand because you're like going through all these links as prep for
News
you
we
each
don't
one.
have to worry about, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we have all of those when we put together the news.
Cool.
And as I mentioned, we usually do the interview. We actually have our interviews usually due on the Monday well, not the Monday before because we usually publish on Tuesdays, but the Monday of the week before the
Right.
episode publishes.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And we usually have our news and wrapper recordings, news and chatter recordings on the Wednesday before we
Got
publish
it.
the interview. So that means, and also because myself and my co-host Abdel are in very different time zones, we tend to record our interviews at very different times and not be present when the other is
Mm.
recording the interview. So in order to record chatter about the interview, the other one has to listen to the episode. So that's one listen
Oh, I
through.
see. Right.
And as you saw here, there's also
Yes.
links from the post-interview chat, which we don't exactly take while we're talking. And also, once the full thing has been edited together, we have to listen through it again to make sure that there aren't any errors. So there are at least 2 listen throughs of the episode. And if you want to include the original interview recording as well, like we listen to these episodes at least 3 times before they go out to all of you.
You do way more work than you used to. But anyway, it's fine. It's fine. On the Google Cloud podcast, you do way more work. But
So
anyway,
I would love to find ways to
streamline that. Got it. That is fair.
So that is our challenge for today. We are going to, I guess I'll go ahead and show the pre-work that I've done here. So I went ahead and took the RSS feed of the Kubernetes podcast from Google, and I downloaded every episode of the Kubernetes podcast from Google into a Google Cloud storage bucket. So we have 235 audio files in here.
Okay.
And we're going to play around with Gemini to see what kinds of interesting insights we can get from those.
Okay, so you showed a few things on the page. I'm guessing we may want to see if we can get some of the like links or at least the titles or products or something from that link section out. Maybe we can get the real links. There's a post-interview chat there. I think it probably all is just gonna. I don't know how we're gonna. I wonder if it can know. I wonder if it knows the difference. We'll see. I guess between like, you have like interstitials between each section?
Yeah,
right?
there might be an
song bit.
Noise.
Yeah, we might be able to use that. Maybe, I'm wondering. The other thing I was just thinking about when I was listening to what you were saying about your process. Like you say, Abdel records something. Would it be easier for you if you could just like turn that into a summary that you could probably read in 10 minutes rather than a whole 20, 25-minute interview? Or would you much rather listen to the interview?
That is the one that I would like to cut out, I will say.
Okay.
So we want to look into summarizing it.
Yep.
And we also want to look into if it can pick out these are things that you should find links to. I'm not really expecting the AI to find the links for me, though we can experiment with that.
It'd be nice.
It'd
be nice. It'd be nice.
But yeah, those are 2 things that I would like to have is a summary of the raw interview file.
Yep.
And a summary and this links thing. And
ideally spit it out in Markdown. I'm guessing using Markdown for the stuff.
Markdown would be perfect.
If we're gonna wave a magic wand, let's wave a magic wand.
Yeah.
See what we can get. Okay. Where do we want to start?
All right. So we've got this bucket full of audio files.
Episodes. Cool. Seems like a good start.
Yeah. In order to explore this stuff, like you were saying, we may want to try and figure out how to get all of this. But let's start with seeing if we can just get all of the information from this bucket into Gemini.
Should we start with maybe just one episode? Keep it really simple.
We can certainly do that.
Take the latest episode, and then maybe we can get something from the latest episode, and then maybe we can work from there. Because we had some weird and interesting ideas about like what we could do with multiple episodes, but one problem at a time.
So we're gonna play around in Vertex today, right? Vertex AI. This is how a lot of folks on our team, honestly, I think, play around with Gemini is through Vertex AI. So where shall we begin?
I was thinking Vertex AI Studio. So you can see there's a big box right there in front of you, and I think there's also over on the left. I haven't used it myself, But
I kind
I'm
of like this page, by the way.
Oh,
One
yeah?
thing I've done here is just gone and played with all of the tutorials that they offer. Not
Oh,
all of
very
them, but
nice.
several of
Very
them.
nice. Very nice. Very
I've
nice.
learned some very useful things, which
Oh, very
helped
cool.
you out on a recent task that we were working on.
Yeah, so it did. So it did. But I'm sort of wondering if there's a free-form area where, say, we don't have to write any code
Yeah.
and we can upload some stuff and just be like,
There
hey. So there's interestingly, there's two versions here. There's open freeform and open chat. I don't know what the difference is.
Let's see. Use freeform mode for specific non-chatbot tasks like classification and extraction. In freeform mode, there's no conversation history, so every prompt is a brand new request to the model. That could work for this use
Yeah.
case. And then chat mode is for chatbot style tasks where there's conversation history that the model uses as context for future responses. So more like what
Okay.
we were using in the D&D episode that we did last time.
Oh, I see. I see. I see. I see. Okay. Freeform?
Yeah, I think freeform.
Well, let's click the button, see what happens. Okay.
And it does have insert media and it has import from Google Cloud Storage.
Yes.
So I definitely think that we can do one. I've got stuff in this one, and you can see we've got all the episodes. If we want to do the most recent one, I have to scroll all the way to the
Way
bottom.
to the bottom, of course. There we go.
And 205 is out of
Last.
sync
Yes,
for some reason, but
reasons.
that's fine. Yeah.
Because reasons. All right. Oh, okay. So a couple of interesting things there. One, it actually says the number of tokens, which I think is cool. So it's only just shy of 100,000 tokens, I guess.
Mm-hmm. We've got 2 million to play with.
2 million to play with. So okay, that's cool. So how long's each episode?
It varies.
Okay.
I would say recent episodes are mostly on the order of like 50 minutes, 40 minutes to an hour.
That's a while. All right, I got Kubernetes podcast.
Yeah, they're quite long. But in doing this, I looked at some of the very early episodes, and those were like half the length. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so if I look at this one, so I'm just okay. Yeah, so your latest one, 235, was 54 minutes and 40 seconds.
How long again?
54 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah,
so it's just interesting that how many tokens you get per file, I guess. That token mapping I always find interesting.
Yeah.
We got
so I don't think we'll be able to fit all 235 into a single.
No. But maybe like
window.
The ones from the last year. But maybe we'll see how we go.
Close. I think we'll get close.
I do have this wonderful question from Arjun. Do we get access to follow along? I think the answer is going to be no. I think
no.
Yeah, no.
But I will show you exactly how I made that bucket. So you're welcome to run it yourself.
Exactly.
So I have that code right here, actually. So I just created a quick bash script earlier today, which was not as quick as I hoped it would be, but
I think I recognize some of this bash from some places on the internet I was looking at earlier. There we go. Maybe. Yeah, nice.
Oh, kitten.
You know what? If a pet doesn't show up on a live stream, it's not a live stream. It's just Indeed.
But so the file that we've got here, we've got a wget of the RSS feed, which we're grepping to grab all of the HTTP URLs.
I'm loving the regex to go through XML. It's hilarious. But anyway.
Yeah, we're finding a specific portion of the XML, the enclosure. What do you call those again?
Enclosure, yeah, whatever it's called.
Thing.
Exactly.
With the
okay, then you're grabbing the HTTPS link and then you're checking another file. Oh,
yeah,
nice.
And then I'm sorting it just because I can, and then I'm putting it into a file. And then I have a for loop that goes through each line in that file, and the cat's going to sit down behind me. Oh, he's on this side.
There we go. Fantastic. My dog's in the other room, so there we go.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I've got this for loop that goes through each line in that file, and each line is a link to one of these files.
Yep.
And then I'm creating a variable so that I can give each one a pretty name instead of the name that it comes with by default, because they were ugly names.
Nice. I like it.
So then I make sure that I've actually got the podcast number in order to do that right. I download the file with wget. I rename the file with the pretty name. And
Nice,
then
nice, nice.
I upload it to the Google Cloud storage bucket, and then I delete the local file. And I just ran this on a Google Cloud shell.
Fair. That's totally fair. Use the bandwidth
So that
that the cloud gives you.
Yeah, I was actually talking to one of our colleagues earlier today about trying to work on this. And I was like, my thing is that I don't want to download all of these locally at home because I don't know about you all, but I have a data cap on my internet
Okay.
provider. So I don't want to do that.
You should be using that. That seems very reasonable. That's what
Yeah.
Cloud Shell is for. There you go.
So this is how I did it. You're welcome to do it yourself as well because it's a public RSS feed. All of these files are public, so
Yep.
you are certainly welcome to download them and play with AI with them on your own.
Okay. So, okay, what do we want? All right, so let's have a look back over here. Okay, so ooh. All right, so we've got it depends which one do you want to wear. Do you want to look at prompt first or do you want to look at the model options first?
I guess model options first.
Sweet. All right, do we want to go Gemini Flash or Pro?
I guess we can start with Flash because that'll be quick to experiment with. Gives you really quick responses. But
Pro's probably going to give you the better response in theory. Like you lose some accuracy or something in Flash. I always forget the details. Like you're sacrificing something with Flash, and we want to be. But it is your session. Do with it what you will.
Yeah. So I think we'll stay with Flash for now.
Okay. Should we drop temperature to be kind of low because we don't want it to hallucinate? We're like, no, don't make stuff up.
True. Do we want to leave it? There's only 0, 1, or 2. Do we want to leave it at 1 and see what that gives us, and then consider dropping down to a 0?
Sure. I'd be tempted to go to 0, but that's just me. We don't need to customize anything. All right. Well, then I guess we're just going to leave that alone and see what happens.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. We can also do some comparison too while we're here too. Like we can run it against Flash and then run it against Pro, see what the differences are.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and I think for a prompt, we just want a summary first.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
So how should I phrase it? Give me a summary.
Yeah.
Of this audio file.
Do we want to ask it to try and split the sections or something like that?
Yeah, we could split the sections. We could ask for specific information, like who is the guest and what is the name of the podcast or something like that.
Yeah. We could also just see what it gives us to start.
Yeah, let's do that first.
Right.
And see how it goes.
Now we wait. Do. We make music happen. I actually don't know how long this will take. But yeah.
You're processing a large file. This could take as long as 90 seconds, even on Flash.
There we go.
It didn't take long at all.
That didn't take long at all. Okay.
This is an episode of the Kubernetes podcast. The host interviews Richard Liao and Kai Xun from Anyscale about Ray and KubeRay. And it tells me a little bit about what Ray is. Ray is an open source unified compute framework that makes it easy to scale AI and Python workloads. KubeRay integrates Ray's capabilities into Kubernetes clusters. They discuss the use of Ray, its benefits, and some challenges of integrating Ray with Kubernetes. This actually by itself is something that's kind of handy.
Okay, cool.
Because if you go back over here, we have something similar to that up here. So I could have had Gemini write that for me. That's good to know.
That's not bad so far.
Yeah, good start. It's also a very short summary.
Yeah.
Like it's an hour-long interview. And this is all it gave me. So I'm a little surprised that it didn't go into more detail than that.
I think we'll have to be a bit more specific if we want a bit more than that. Where do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, that's the question. Do we want to play around more with this single file, or do we want to see if we can upload multiple files?
Well, you wanted to see if you could get like the list of things. What's the phrase I'm looking for? The list of like, give me the. Do you want to see if we can get the links out basically from the main section.
Right. We could try it with
Yeah.
just this one episode just to see what it does. I feel like it's gonna be pretty bad at it. Because
Well,
I
because
don't
I
know how to
mean,
explain this well to humans.
right. So okay. Maybe as a first step, I was going to actually ask it. Give me a summary of each section of the podcast. I want to see if we can actually split it
Okay,
apart.
let's see.
Each section.
Section of this audio file. Should I say podcast? It probably doesn't matter.
That probably doesn't matter. Podcast episode.
Podcast episode.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
I'm curious to see if
We
it can
click
determine
perform.
if there are like little music bits, or we're gonna have to tell it that the music splits things up.
Also, it gives you this warning when you're processing a large file. If we do make use of something very close to the 2 million token context window, I wonder how long it'll take.
It's true. Okay, the first
All
section.
right.
Oh, hello.
That's
Okay.
all right. 7th section. What? What did it use to
Oh, okay. So where are we?
determine what a
So
section was? Did it separate it by like
there's a new
topic?
segment. Okay. Second section, guest interview.
Correct.
And then it sort
That's
of broke down.
It broke down the interview into its own segments, which is
Yeah.
interesting. I guess maybe by question. 7th section,
Discussion.
6th about the future of Ray. Interesting that it didn't pick up on the chatter segment where Mofi and I discussed the interview.
Is that? Oh no, that's a discussion about Race Summit.
Yeah, which was in the
Interview.
chatter segment of the episode.
Got it. What was I going to say? Should we be prescriptive and say, hey, like split by pieces of music or something?
We could try that. Do you think
I'm
it
also
would
curious.
understand the concept of interstitial music?
Maybe. The other thing we could do is also just switch to Pro and see if Pro does a better job, or maybe if it just takes too long and we'll just be like, all right, let's leave it at Flash.
Yeah, let's try the interstitial music thing,
Okay,
and
let's do it.
then try Pro.
Okay,
Give
I like
me
it.
a summary of each section of this podcast episode. One section is a segment.
Sure.
Use the word section segment right next to each other like that, but segment.
Gemini, I feel like is not going to get mad at you if you reuse the same word over and over again, like a human reader might. So it's okay. I feel like it's very much in the vein of how like I get in a Waymo and I say good morning, right? Like you don't have to. It's just nice. I mean, it's fine.
Is that how interstitial is spelled? I think it is.
I think so.
No question mark, just like that. So one section is a segment of discussion separated by interstitial music.
Okay.
Let's try that. See if it gets it. It might also. There's a section where we just like say hello, and then there's like the intro music, and then it goes into the news. So I wonder if that'll separate it out. We'll see what it does. First section is the introduction. Second section discusses.
It's been quite nope. Has it?
Nope. Did not do it. Noted. The podcast episode also contains a section about the news, which was at the beginning, and it said something about it at the end. That's interesting.
Huh. What's funny is I also just realized I have access to your project, so I can always try stuff in the background while we're also trying stuff just for.
You can indeed.
Just if I want
so we wanted to switch this to Pro, right?
Yeah, just for see what would happen if it's.
And so if I just run it again, it'll just be running on Pro, right? And I would expect this to take longer.
I would expect this to take longer. I'm hoping it will be better, though. I mean, I suppose for your workflow, speed of response is not the biggest thing you're going to be looking for. Your accuracy is probably it's probably better, right?
Yep. Oh, and it formats things nicely. Ooh, I do like that.
This is nicer. Okay.
So intro, it even
news.
grabbed out what the specific news items were. And then it has some... Ooh, how many of these is it going to do?
It's going to be a bunch.
This could be very long. How detailed of a summary. Oh, okay. It wasn't too bad. And then it's got outro. Oh, that's like the actual outro of the episode. There's also the section at the end where it's like, you've made it to the end of another episode. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
You
interesting.
have it written
Okay, yeah.
down. I don't have it memorized.
I'm thinking Pro is the better choice here.
Yeah, this is definitely
It's a
going
lot
better
better.
for this.
Yeah.
Hadoop yarn?
Oh, that's
I
super
don't
interesting.
think we mentioned Hadoop at all.
Oh.
Maybe we did. Maybe we did. It's possible. I know we
Okay,
mentioned Apache Submarine.
Hold on. We have a transcript. We can go look.
That is
you
true.
have
We
this.
do have a transcript.
You have the transcript up.
Granted, the transcript is imperfect as well. So.
What does it say?
Hadoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hadoop yarn. All right.
yarn.
That is something that I missed in the links in the show notes.
See? Gemini knows all.
Boom. Helpful.
There we go. Nice.
Also, by the way, we don't get this transcript until after the episode has already been published, which is always very frustrating for me as I'm trying to do this. I'm like, man, I would love to have a transcript right now.
So yeah, I mean, you want to ask Gemini for a transcript?
Which it could also do, yeah.
Yeah.
We might as well try it, right?
Okay, so is this summary pretty decent though? Like to at least get you...
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we take a look at it before I prompt it with something else?
That looks pretty decent.
The cat has decided to move from behind me, which is nice.
There we go. And if anyone's listening and you're like, oh, I wonder if you can do this with this audio file, throw something in the chat.
Yeah.
Let us know. We're playing here to see what we can get out of it.
We are absolutely exploring. We're trying to get a sense for what exactly we want out of it that could actually be helpful. Yeah, so let's take a look at this. I think the news seems pretty good. I could compare it against it closely to be sure that it's accurate, but it seems right.
Yeah.
They introduce the guests, which that seems pretty accurate. Then they talk about journeys. Richard explains his journey. Kai shares his journey.
Oh, I just noticed something cool too.
What's up?
Top right-hand corner, get code.
Get code.
What language would you like? And it has curl because I know how much you love Bash, Caslin.
Yes, Bash is the thing for me.
Bash is the thing. And look at that. Like you actually have a whole curl statement. You could actually steal that and put that in a Bash script.
Interesting. I wonder, let's see here. This is all of that stuff. File URI.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Right?
But in order to do multiple files, am I just going to have to do this file data thing over and over and over again?
Ooh, interesting question. I wonder if you could point it at an HTTP URL.
Yeah, or
you might maybe, but I am wondering if cloud storage is kind of the way to do it. I mean, if you wrote a bash, what you might do is if you wrote a bash script, the bash script would grab the file from libsyn, put it up on, I assume you're using libsyn, put it in a Google Cloud Storage bucket, and then process it just to make life easy as part of your whole script, which is not the end of the world. But anyway, I just saw that and I thought that was neat.
Yeah. All right. So there's that to explore. I wonder how different it looks in, let's see, we've got Python, Node.js, and Java. I know the some of the docs have Go as well, but also some of them are missing curl, I think. So the language of these, I guess I've used some Python recently, so maybe I can look into this a little bit. Responses.
Yeah, my Python's trash, so yeah.
This is pretty simple. It's got just the URI for the episode file again.
Yeah.
Part dot from URI. I wonder if there are other options for
Possibly.
that. There are probably other ways to do this that might allow us to do multiple files more easily. So that's one option for what we can explore here.
It's true. And also, like, I think if we put in multiple files into the studio, then we could go get the code and it might show us the example with multiple files as well if we want to do multiple file stuff.
You mean like here?
Yeah,
Like insert
because
media?
I assume you can insert multiple. I assume so.
I tried it earlier and it was not working for me, but let's
Oh.
see. So let's say I want to do this. Can I like shift click? Nope. Can I like
What happens if you just
click?
select one more? Does it it's not additive, it replaces?
That's a good question. I want to do one of the recent ones as well, since we have this recent one. Let's do 234. Select. Oh, it did add it.
There we go.
So how many can we fit in here? Let's find out. Oh, now I'm going to have to scroll to the bottom every time. Maybe I should have started with the earlier episodes. 233. We're at 272,000 tokens.
Well, do you want to... Okay, so do you want to be working still in the single episode, or do you want to...
We can play around with multiple episodes. Since we figured this out, we might as well set it up, I think. Is there something you'd prefer to do with
No, I was going to say, because it's probably easier to try and pull the individual items out of a single episode one at a time, I would have thought.
True.
But if you want to start doing sort of like maybe comparative work across, then...
Yeah, so we can play around with what we can do with multiple files for a minute, and then we can come back to the show notes idea.
Okay.
My original thought was like, if you have the audio files and you have the show notes, but I don't have all of the show notes ready to go for us. I need to like create some kind of script to like scrape the website and grab all of those markdown files. If we had all of those markdown files.
That's true. One thing I have done in the past is just do a print to PDF and then use those PDF files as sources. I've done that with like a Google AI Studio. But I'm also figuring that we've got... Wow, this is really annoying that you have to scroll all the way down every time.
Quite annoying.
Can you reset the order? No.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Sadly.
The other thing is we could actually take the code, copy it into like a file and then run it as like a Python script or a curl script, or because it'll be much easier to just be like between, this number and this number, then, run the thing with this prompt rather than.
Yeah.
But, you've put in all this time and effort now, so I don't know. I don't necessarily want to like stop you.
Just for playing around rather than going through and figuring out how to write the code. We'll just do this, even though it's kind of slow. Plus, it shows us how much it kind of jumps up for each episode, which I find kind of interesting.
So you're at what? Okay, so we started at 35, so you've done 7 episodes. So we should be able to get at least 14 episodes-ish in, depending on size, right?
Depending on the size of them.
27.
I think there is one, at least in here, that's like double the size of a normal episode. That brings us up to almost 1 million for 8 episodes.
Yeah, why doesn't it let you do multiples? Oh, that's really annoying.
It is very, very frustrating. We can file a bug on that later.
That seems very reasonable.
So 226. Next is 225. They're about 200,000 tokens. Less than that. I wonder what the average token size is. I wonder if Gemini can tell us that. I'm sure this is very exciting for everyone watching.
we could stop at any given point in time if you wanted. I think this is...
We can.
You want to get to the full 2 million? You're feeling...
But I kind of want to see
where we end up? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think I just did
220.
224.
I've lost
I think we're at
count.
223. Maybe we weren't. Maybe I just done that one. No, I think that went up. 222. All right, we're at 1.5 million-ish. 221. Still 1.5 million-ish, just over 1.5 million.
I may be playing a little bit in the background. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, please do. Like prep the next things here.
Do you want me to show while you're doing that? Do you want me to show what I just kind of did? Here we go. I'm gonna
certainly, yeah. That would be excellent.
Here, I'll I don't. You know what? I will share a tab. I won't share my entire screen. But, there you go. Oof. I'm gonna kick your screen. So I wanted to see if we could what we could get out of that one with you, how you want to get your products and projects. So I took the latest episode. I said, within the interview section, give me a list of all the products and projects the listeners may want to learn more about, and provide
I like
links
that.
as well.
Yeah.
And it's done not bad. Now, how does that compare
to the actual show notes?
Retune, Race Summit. Here we go. So Litmus Chaos. If we come over here and we share this tab instead. Okay, so we don't have things for the guests. Okay, let's see if we can get those. But like PyTorch, for example, it doesn't get everything. It hasn't got all the stuff you got.
But it might have some that I don't have.
That is true.
And
like,
it's worthwhile knowing as well. Right. I don't think I can do any more. I got to 217 from 235.
Yes, then you got the Red Hat stuff. Okay, let's see if I can get it to
18 episodes.
Also, you may just be like, okay, you know what? I've only got so much time in the day. I will live with it. This is fine. I know.
Yeah.
I know how much of a wonderful perfectionist you are, Haslett. So I know that maybe not. But you know what? Maybe this is at least a good start.
Yeah, there are also, like we said, multiple reasons that I need to listen to the episode between recording the interview and recording the news and chatter.
Yeah. All right. So let's.
Because I also need to understand what was said in it, so I would need the summary piece as well in order to skip that. And it would definitely take a while for me to be confident in skipping it. So if we could have it both provide the summary and what you were kind of exploring there, interesting. Now seeing if it'll give us actual links.
It gives us links. And I got it. I said to it, hey, give it to us in Markdown. It's now rendering all the Markdown. Do you want a little description of each thing? That's looking really good, actually. Let's see if I can turn that off. Yeah. How do you normally do it? So you... if I share this tab instead. Okay. You don't put anything next to it, but you do group stuff a little bit, but that's okay. That's not...
Occasionally.
All right.
I usually don't. That's a pretty rare thing. But in the interview, like Kaishun said that these are a set of tools that are comparable to Ray in this specific area, kind of.
Yeah.
So I wanted to group them that way so that folks could find them easily.
For the guests as well at the top of the list. Let's see if it will do that. I wonder if it can even find LinkedIn profiles. Because I did actually ask it at one point, like identify the guests, and it could definitely tell the difference between guests and hosts. So it identified you and Abdel as hosts, and then it noticed that the other people were guests.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that. Oh, except it didn't.
We also need to check if these links are right.
That is true. It did some grouping here, which is really nice.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that.
Yeah. Group. I'm just going to say items in the list where appropriate. Present this in Markdown format. Okay. So let's see. All right. So ray.io. That looks right to me. Just going to run that again. Let me know when you're done with your stuff and we can pop back over. But that's not bad. Yep.
I've got as many files as I can fit in here now. I don't know what we want to do with that at this point.
Let's have a look. All right, here we go.
Nice. It's got the LinkedIn links for both of
told it's a group where appropriate.
This looks very much like our normal show notes, really.
Oh, look at that. That's pretty good. I don't know why it's added this at the end, but like...
It's got a link for NVIDIA L4 GPUs. I don't think I had that. I do think it was mentioned, though.
There you go. That's... I can save this. This is your project, so I can hit save and save this for you if you want.
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right, let's save that as a prompt. We'll call that the show notes. Okay, it's podcast.
What about asking it for... Oh, yep. I can show things. Here we go. What about asking it for timestamps with regards to when the links are discussed? Oh, I love that. That's something I don't do manually.
That's good. That's good. Provide links as well. All right. And provide links as well as timestamps.
Oh, man. Oh,
when the products are discussed.
I don't know if any of our listeners actually care about the show notes, but I care about making them for you.
There we go.
I'm always worried that I've missed something. So like just having some other entity to check, to give me like a rough idea of things that I might have missed would be incredible. Because like I said, we also don't usually have the transcript at this point. So I'm just listening and recording as much as I can just manually. Well, that's very different.
That's not...
Didn't work as smoothly as we might have liked.
Yeah.
Does it have timestamps in there, though? It looks like it does.
It does. It's
I mean,
but we lost the links.
Timestamps separately, and
yeah,
you would want to do it at the same time, though. Do what you did before, but give me the timestamps.
Next to the links in brackets, put the timestamp for each item. Maybe something like that. Be more specific. The other thing, I don't know if we want to do it, but there's the whole system instructions thing too about like how the model should respond, but I don't know if we care. Be goofy, be silly. I don't know. I don't know if you have a tone.
That was very vague. We don't exactly want this to be silly.
All right, there we go. That's better. Except I don't like the way it's done. That's
looking nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could maybe ask it to convert that to Markdown, or even just doing that manually would not be too hard. I would not be mad about doing that.
Yeah, that's actually already in Markdown. I just noticed that it has this little slider.
It's just not rendering it.
It's just putting it next to it rather than making it part of the actual this part, which it was before.
But are those timestamps accurate? I want to know. That'd be worth looking into later.
Well, hold on. Here we go. Oh no, you don't have timestamps in your transcript. I was going to look at that and see if it was okay. But Yeah, so
We do not.
we could futz with this a little bit more. It's and let's look out and link each item. Oh, Carlix is next to the links. Now it's just getting finicky at this point.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes you need to be finicky when you're working with AI. You need to be very specific about what you want from it. And something that I actually like about AIs is that it forces me to ask good questions.
It's like you make a wish and then the monkey curls a finger on its paw and you're like, oh God, what have I done?
Yep.
Yep. But okay, so like that's pretty good. That should save you some time. I wish this was a thing. Oh, interesting. It's done it. There we go.
Oh, look at this. This is so awesome. Arjun.
That's better.
Claps to you.
Copy it to GCS Bucket. Is it now following along? Well done.
Yeah. Very impressive. I'm so glad that you're following along with this. Oh, that looks very nice.
That's pretty good. It doesn't, you know what? We got some bigger like
I doubt that Ray is only mentioned at those specific timestamps. That is another interesting thing. Maybe we should say just the first mention.
Oh, yes. Timestamp
of the first mention. It's too good at this.
Inappropriate.
Stop being such an overachiever, AI.
Yeah,
I only want you to be a relatively high overachiever.
If I get the guests. Put that. All right. I'm tweaking how I'm doing it, but okay.
I thought I ought to put the link to the RSS feed in the chat, but I'm very impressed with you, Arjun, for going and finding it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arjun, let us know if you come up with a prompt you really like that you want us to put on screen.
Yeah, please. Would love to explore. Or if there's anything in particular that you want to explore on your own and you're like, oh, this was really cool.
Yeah.
Love to show it. And I do have that prompt window with 18 episodes.
All right. I think we're probably at a point where we should probably switch over.
Yeah, once this one completes.
Up to 90 seconds, apparently.
Yeah, as it does. But we got to think about what we want to do with this 18 episodes. If we want to try to do some kind of quick scraping to grab the existing show notes, if we want to ask it something similar to what you're doing here.
There we go. Didn't do what I want, but it's close.
Also, I feel like that's the story of exploring AI, right? It's like,
yeah. First one is at 3402. That seems...
I doubt that. The timestamps were earlier before.
Yeah, a few other concepts. Yeah.
Oh, you got the RSS feed from the screen. Very good. Sorry, I didn't put it in the chat, so it was easier for you to copy.
I'm thinking removing the timestamp is probably a good idea. So it's a nice to have.
Yeah. I think with some more exploration, we might be able to find something there.
All right,
Should
cool.
we hop over to the multiple files and figure out something fun to do with that?
Brilliant. All right. So what do you got anything going on in there?
I was thinking about trying to ask it something very general, like what are the most interesting consistencies you can find across all of these episodes, or the most interesting statistics you can put together across all of these episodes. I don't know how to word it right in order to get something interesting. Should we just try it?
When you say consistencies, what are you meaning by that?
I don't know either.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm curious what the AI will think is a consistency between
Or
them.
or
Like,
okay. Oh yeah. What? Yeah.
if it came up with there's always these segments or the hosts are always
All
the
right.
same, those
Ask it
would
the
be things
question.
that are consistent. So,
Let's see what it says. All right.
what should I just say what consistencies, not the most interesting ones?
Sure.
What consistencies can you find across all these files? And then one thing we need to figure out here is how long does this take?
Yeah. I feel like it's going to take a while. All right, but that's okay. And so you've got 17,
Let's
25.
just try that.
Sure. Um. So you've got 35. That's you said before. Last one was 235. So you're at 217, which means you've done. Oh my god, my brain can't do math. 5, 15, 18 episodes.
Yeah, 18 episodes.
18
That's what I'm
episodes.
getting. That's what
Okay.
my mental math says.
So 18
Maybe we should have had
episodes.
the AI do that math for us.
Sure, that
How
would have been
many how
good.
many files is this? Use up the entire 2 million token context window just to ask the AI, how many files is this?
Okay, so that's like 9 months worth of content. We couldn't quite get a full year in.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
But 9 months is a good chunk of content.
it's a good chunk of content. Yeah, no, I think we were talking about this offline as well the other day. One of the things we used to do in the Google Cloud podcast was do like a yearly recap episode.
Oh, yes, we should explore that.
And so it might be interesting to see what highlights it found, or like what did you find super interesting? Like pick your top 5 moments. Pick your top 5 moments or topics or
Yes.
something. See what it
Yes,
picks.
let's do that next
All right.
whenever it finishes with this.
Apparently, it should be done in 90 seconds. Is there a top limit? Is that a thing that it has as a?
Let's find out because we're at 82.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out if it has an upper limit. Nope, it's gone past 90, so 90
It's
is
gone
not
past
an
90.
upper limit.
I feel like I've used I think I mentioned it before, like I used AI Studio to do a bunch of comparative analysis kind of stuff, and I was dropping like 10 15 PDFs in there or whatever of different things I wanted to sort of compare. And I definitely did see times with Pro where like, yeah, it could take like a couple of minutes for something to come out, but I feel like the results were really good.
This is such a lame prompt to wait.
We don't even know what it's going to tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't even know when it's going to finish. We will see.
We don't know how long it'll be or
Yeah.
how interesting this information
It's going to be. Exactly. It's just going to be fine.
Yeah. It's certainly interesting regardless that we managed to put 18 episodes in. And like one thing that's very frustrating with video files at least is exporting. I know when I was working in one video editing tool, I would like do all of my edits to a video. And then in order to export it to, I think I was exporting it to like an MP3, it would take the amount of time of the video to export it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So the fact that it was doing that hour-long episode as fast as it was is already really impressive to me.
Really impressive. Just going to have that chug along in the background. Are there other things that we could do to an individual episode while this is happening?
Yeah, that's true. You do have the individual episode one out, so we could play along with that. Does anyone have anything that they would like us to explore, either with a single episode or with the multiple episodes? Please put it in the chat if you are curious about anything.
Ooh, you know what? What is it? Brains. You may want to hit the save button on this too, just in case for whatever reason the prompt goes away, because then you've got all those files there, and we don't want to lose that. Don't clear prompt. No, don't clear prompt. Top right hand corner. Save. I'm pointing on my screen. Just got
right
really
there.
scared.
There it is.
Yeah. Don't close the tab. Leave it alone. Just make sure it's saved.
18 episode prompt.
There we go. What's good about that is then I can open stuff up and have that run in the background, because that is still running.
It's still running. I mean, it's got a lot of data in there.
So. Yeah, it does. It really does.
So let's play around with that single episode a little bit. I'll let you know
Alright.
when it finishes.
Let us know. You realize as soon as I take you off screen, it's gonna.
You would think, but
You
no.
would think. One thing I did find that I thought was really nice. You can actually save as a new prompt. You've got like a history. So from whenever you saved it, so if you're like, oh, I like this one, I'm gonna go back to it.
Nice. Yes.
Vertex Studio has that in there, which is kind of nice. So
Oh,
if you're just
it
playing
finished.
around, it finished. All right, let's
Finished.
pop you back on.
Oh
All
no.
right.
It's not good.
It's not good. It's not.
Nope.
Okay, hold on, wait. So what I'm seeing in this is a lot of stuff about dishwashers.
Didn't have any episodes about it.
Oh no!
We broke it, everyone.
We broke it. We broke Gemini. Well done.
2 million token context. Maybe not when you're too mean to it.
We were clearly too mean to it.
Yeah. All right. So that didn't work. How about we reduce it by a few, partially to... Oh, how do I reduce it? There we go.
Oh,
partially to make it quicker.
Okay.
Let's give it like 10 episodes, which is still a lot.
Okay. That's still a lot. Yeah.
And then, do I need to put... If I hit enter... Okay, yes.
Okay.
All right. And we were going to ask, provide a recap script of all of these or something like that. Ooh, there's also a good question.
That's
here
a good question. Where will
chat.
the... Whoops, I think you just clicked it and I unclicked it.
Oh, yep.
Where will the prompt be saved? Oh, I can... you put it up. I was like... Yeah, you can actually go see in... Here, I'll show you. There is a section over on the left inside Vertex AI Studio. If you just want to, Caslin, if you wouldn't mind, just roll over on the left. You see if you scroll down under Vertex.
Save prompts.
Saved
right
prompts.
there.
It's right there. So you can always go back to your prompts if you want to.
I feel like there's also... The way that you were showing it looked like they were kind of in this like sidebar.
Yeah, so you can also get history. So every time you hit save, it'll keep a copy of it. So if you hit save,
I think it failed to save last time.
Let's see. Oh, that's very funny. In theory, it shouldn't. Yeah, there we go. Prompt was saved. Now, if you go into history, you can actually see over on the right.
This is a 10 episode prompt, though.
Oh, it is now. That's true.
Oops. That might have overwritten the 18 episode prompt. That's fine.
That's fine. We'll see. So yeah, if you go into history, you can actually see. So right up. Oh. There we go. Yep, you can start to see like the... Oh, and it's got the rename for you. So it actually has the version of it in the history. So you change the title and then it knows. Oh, that's nice.
Does this one has all of them, so I should be able to get that back.
So you can always come back to it or create a new prompt from it.
Save as a new prompt.
Yep. It's actually a really nice little spot to play around with all this stuff.
All right, and we'll save that as the 18 episode prompt. Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, what did you... Oh, there's your copy. That's the copy of the episode prompt. And if you want to go back to the 10 one, you can go back to your saved prompts and...
Oh, okay. So history, I want to go back to the 10
Yeah,
one.
go back to your saved prompt. So go left-hand side nav bar.
Oh, yep.
There we go.
10 episode prompt.
Ta-da.
Learning all sorts of things today.
Nice.
All right, so
we're having some fun.
Create a recap summary of the audio in these 10 files.
So you just want a recap of every single file in a row, or do we want to do something?
I see. We should specify that. Good point.
Yeah.
A recap summary. I think of all 10 of them. Of the most interesting points. I don't know if it knows what's interesting, but...
you know what? Let's find out what Gemini finds is interesting.
Dishwashers.
Dishwashers, apparently. Apparently it's all about dishwashers. I'm guessing there's some dishwasher metaphors you use for Kubernetes, or you'll use for Kubernetes.
How about this? Create a recap summary of the most interesting points across these 10 audio files.
Okay.
Try it and see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
How many minutes will it take?
It's a good question.
Should we go ahead and play with the other prompt or attempt to while it goes?
Yes. I'm trying to think of what other stuff we could do. Oh, there we go. I did actually stop it. All right, so if we pop back, what other fun stuff can we do here? How many times did each guest laugh throughout the episode? Order by number of laughs.
This is something we talked about actually before this in the prep call before this live stream. We were saying that we should do something like this because I am obviously a nervous laugher.
Actually, you know what's funny is I think I know what's already going to happen on here too. It doesn't identify you or Abdul as guests. It identifies you as hosts, and so it may not actually pick you.
In which case, the number will be 0.
So we'll see how that goes. I actually don't hate the idea of putting like some ridiculous statistic on each episode.
At least in my yearly roundups.
Ooh, I like it.
Last year we did put together a little report on like how the podcast was doing in terms of like views and some cool little statistics, and we posted it on social media and stuff. So at least for that. Number of laughs per host.
Number of laughs. Well, yeah, we could do that. Here we go. Oh, the audio does not provide this information. Oh, what? So
I mean, it might be saying that because the guests don't laugh. Does Caslin laugh?
In the file with which person is laughing.
Granted, I don't conduct the interview in this episode, so.
Oh, I see.
Oh, and Arjun. One approach would be to pass each episode separately to fetch key factors, tone, pros, and summary from each episode, then pass all those summaries to check for inconsistency in a separate call. Yeah.
It's true.
I think that is a fairly common approach with AI, is like have it go through it once and then have it go through it again. I've actually heard that it's very good at that.
There we go. We got
my prompt also just finished, but let's go over this one first.
Apparently, also you're Caitlin.
That's okay. That happens a lot.
I don't know.
How many laughs do I have? I can't really see it. It's too small.
You have 5.
Only 5? Well, I didn't conduct the interview, so that sounds fair.
You're at 4 to Murphy's 2, so you win.
Shocking.
Yeah. So you win. All right.
It's shocking that it's that low.
Let's see. All right. You said something.
I would like to run that again.
Ooh. My dogs.
Yeah, look at this. All right. Top 10 highlights from, well, it's not quite from 2024. This doesn't quite, it's 10 episodes, but appreciate the concept of the framing. We also wanted to do that. So evolution of observability. So it's calling out from the Charity Majors episode where we talked about the shift to observability 2.0, which was a major theme of that episode. I think that is a legit highlight. Significance of Kubernetes at 10. We had a whole bunch of Kubernetes 10-year anniversary episodes.
Yeah.
So absolutely makes sense. It specifically calls out Tim Hawken, which is interesting. We had a whole bunch of different guests to talk about the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Tim Hawken is definitely a valid one to
call out.
So
if people don't know Tim's one of the founders of Kubernetes and is a delightful human being as well.
He also designed the logo.
You know, I may have known that. I can't remember. Anyway, that's fine. Yeah.
I know it now, either way.
I do either way. I also like the fact that, like, especially like I'm looking at number 2, it's saying like multiple episodes focused on this. So it actually does cross-cutting. Like it's gone, hey, I've seen this in a few different episodes. And I think that's kind of neat.
That's true, I guess. Oh, you mean for, multiple episodes.
Yeah. Multiple episodes. Yeah. So it's sort of, it's just interesting.
I like also that number 3, open source sustainability challenges are a recurring theme that
Like
we
it's
mention
yeah.
multiple times.
Um,
Oh yeah, we talked about HashiCorp
what? Yeah.
Terraform's business license shift in the Open Tofu episode,
Yep.
which was a recent one. So yeah, that's a thing. Um, uh, we've got a question here. Does asking the LLM to not hallucinate help in any way, or does it still hallucinate anyway? I think we might each have takes on this. Do you want to go first, or shall I?
I was gonna say, well, right now the temperature is set to 1, so temperature usually indicates kind of, I guess, creativity. They call it randomness. One, have we seen anything that's been wrong or hallucinatory? Really?
Not that we've been able to identify thus far.
Yeah.
We didn't check all those links. I would not be surprised if there were some hallucinations in those links.
It looks
The way
pretty
that
good. But yes,
I tend to think
it's
about
convincing. You know, it's
yeah,
convincing when it lies. That is true.
yes. The way that I tend to think about hallucinations in LLMs is LLMs have been trained on a whole bunch of data in order to make them so generalized. And what they're able to do is then respond to you based on what they've seen. So they're giving you a response that looks right, essentially. Kind of at the core of how the LLM is designed. There are a lot of things that we do to address that. Things like retrieval augmented generation. If you've looked into that at all, it's a way of, it's kind of like what you were saying, actually, where you have
Hmm.
the AI go through one pass and then you have it go through a second pass. That's kind of like one way to implement RAG is you have the AI give its response and then you uh, associate that with a set of actual data and kind of do the comparison there. So there are things that you can do kind of in the prompt engineering and like AI engineering
Yeah.
space to reduce hallucinations, even though I think that they are kind of built into the way the LLMs work.
Yeah, you can never 100% get away from it either. Like it's, you
Mhm.
know, it's always it's the what is it Aaron said? It's like you always have a junior engineer or a junior writer or like a junior copywriter or whatever it is that happens to be that you always have to check their work.
Yeah, and Arjun offers this example: go through this audio podcast and answer the following. Only base your answers strictly on what information is available in the audio attached.
I did that.
I don't have data on how well that works. I definitely know that people keep trying it.
That's fair.
But
You
I
have
would need to like perform a study of it to see if it actually helps. I'm not sure if there's consistent or a consensus in the AI community about whether those things help or how much they help. Like we were saying, I don't think you can get it 100%, but that might help some. Just don't know. Definitely worth trying. Looking at some more of these highlights. So we talked about open source sustainability, the rise of AI workloads. Of course, we had to talk about AI some this year.
yeah.
Oh, I love that it calls out dynamic resource allocation, which is a project in the Kubernetes project. So the project it mentions
Okay.
here is the Kubernetes project. That is a real thing that is happening that we've discussed on the podcast.
Okay.
Um, and the emergence of new working groups focusing on serving and devices. Those are a couple of the new working groups that we called out
Oh, very cool.
that are AI related. So it's correct in all of that. The importance of contributor experience. I feel a little embarrassed about that because that's my SIG, so that's probably my fault. But
no, it's saying that it's important, and that's good.
that's true. But
Yeah.
what was it trained on? The role of the contributor community in shaping Kubernetes was underscored. The podcast discussed the significance of clear documentation, welcoming new
Nice.
contributors, fostering mentorship programs. I had all 3 of my co-leads for SIG Contribex on this year, but at least one of them was on episode 215, so it doesn't go back that
It doesn't go
far.
that back that far.
So there might have been 1 or 2 other members of Sig Contribex that I talked with in here. It's probably accurate that there is some discussion of that, but let me tell you, there's even more if you go back further.
So it's an interesting. I am wondering if it makes any. I was wondering if it makes any sense to take the podcast and turn it into a transcript, and if it's less tokens that way.
Yeah, that would probably work. We need to.
But do we lose data in that? Like, is Gemini picking up on like tone or intonation or like? I mean, I couldn't ask a
Oh.
transcript for laughs. Like, I don't know how much, like, how understanding it is of that, and whether that would be necessarily maybe a bad thing. I don't know.
Depending on what you're using it for, that could be perfectly fine.
Yeah,
There are
true.
some. I think the transcripts that we get are done by humans.
Right.
So when we get the transcript back, there are sections in the transcript that say like unintelligible or like has like a best guess at what was said that's like called out, that we have to then go through and try to correct as best we can. I did this for the most recent episode. There were a few cases where the transcript writer didn't quite get one of the technical terms, and so I had to go in and correct it.
Caslin, you do more work than we ever did on the Google podcast, and I hope people really, really realize how much work Caslin puts into this, and I'm sure I've done this as well. Like, oh my god, yeah, no, we would just take the transcript and throw it up. We never even looked at it.
We love you all. We hope you'll listen to our podcast. But I was reading through this, and the power of simplicity being a recurring theme in both Tim Hawkin and Angelos Kolaitis.
And it calls out which one. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, those are indeed 2 separate episodes where that was brought up. So cool. Cubre, cool. It doesn't spell right, but that's fine.
Close enough. Small hallucination. There we go.
Arguable. Yeah, that is arguably a small hallucination, or it's something that a human would get wrong too, because I mean it's pronounced that way.
It's in theory it's essentially listening to it rather than
yeah, and we didn't call it out, so if you gave it the transcript, it wouldn't do that.
If the transcript
was right. Yeah. A dedicated episode explored Ray and Cubre. Sure. I think that's worth calling out.
Yeah, interesting.
The role of leaders in open source. Oh, Charity talking about like management.
So,
that is actually not about open source though. That is about like management in like enterprise, in
like management,
the workforce. Management, people management. So this one is actually a little incorrect.
There we go.
So there's a slight hallucination for sure.
One other thing I'm just kind of playing with in my head, and I'm just wondering, like, this is all me, like, behind the scenes kind of thinking about, like, where if it's picked up on names that it recognizes as known, like Charity's well known, Tim's well known.
Oh yeah, depending on what it was trained on.
And whether it's gone, those people are important, therefore I know that is an important thing, therefore I will put that together. I don't know Angelo, unfortunately. Maybe it's the same thing there. Like, I don't know. I'm wondering if there's a certain amount of information or knowledge graph in there that it's able to play with.
I think so. I don't think Angelos Kolaitis is particularly well known. He was the 1.31 release lead. I'd have to go look up his bio. All the other things that he's done. But he's, yeah. And also, we often mention in the episode when, like, this is someone who is very important, but I'm really surprised that it's not killing out Kelsey Hightower at all.
Was Kelsey on any of these episodes?
He was, yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no Kelsey. That's just sad.
I mean, maybe we just missed the Kelsey episode. Let's see. Ray's podcast. What did we stop at? 225 is where we stopped.
It's 227. It's got Tim Hawking and Kelsey.
Yes, I thought they were
interesting. Okay,
so it calls out Tim Hawking, but not Kelsey.
Yeah, Kelsey usually has something poignant to say. I was gonna say Arjun's question, I've got a little example that I was playing with in the background, which
Going back
was
to that question.
based on this episode and only this episode's information. Tell me why I should use Ray. I did also set the temperature to 0 just to see what would happen. The first time I ran it, it failed, and then I just ran it again and it was fine. Weird, but I don't know why. But it's like, I assume it's fine. I set it to 0 so it wouldn't be creative. Oh, look, you can actually. Ooh.
I find that so silly. It's 3 options.
Is it really?
It's 0, 1, or 2, right?
It
I
has
don't
a
think you
temperature
can
range.
have a partial
It says it says temperature range
of
So
0 to 2 and a
I probably do
default of
0.
1. Can you do?
Tell you
Oh
what,
yeah, it has
I'll hit the button.
0.4. So I guess
Yeah.
you can do non-whole numbers. All right.
I
That's
don't
valid
know
then.
where I've seen it. I feel like I was doing a code lab or something, and I saw 0.4 as a number, and like somebody was like 0.4 is a good number for a temperature. I have no idea.
And I
think
was
it's
like,
good.
sure.
Sure. I'll stick with that. I get good answers. Done. But there's an interesting question here from Phil that I'm trying to get. So Phil says, our podcast is like a choose your own adventure book. How can we offer listeners distant paths through the content? Are you thinking maybe like tagging? Do you tag any of your episodes?
Like a YouTube video, like chapters?
Not necessarily. No, I wasn't thinking chapters. I was thinking like topics. We used to do this, for example, on the Google Cloud podcast, where we'd be like ML or GKE or App Engine. Not that some people still use App Engine. Cloud Functions, or like just like a series of tags that you could attach to any episode, and then if you attach them to the episode, you could use those as clickable links. So if you're like, oh, I wanted to learn more about this particular topic, you could kind of dig in.
So find all of the episodes that have a focus on that topic.
Exactly. It's kind of like metadata for each episode. Give it a label.
We do not currently do that.
Could be like, give me, let's say approximately 5 topic tags for this episode. Thing is, I think this would need to be consistent. You might need to necessarily, you might want to predefine a list and get it to choose which ones. That's
if this.
Though I would say if you were gonna do this, you might want to do like a more complicated, maybe I don't know, because this is pretty light, but does it make sense? I was gonna say you might want to do a thing where you have embeddings and like actually have a database that stores, like all this kind of stuff about like, but that seems like such overkill for a podcast.
Isn't it funny how using AI is like, I need to produce more data?
Yeah, right. Like what?
In order to use the AI.
But you could, maybe do something like that where you could get 5, like you could get different tags. And you could probably also like specify as part of the prompt, here is my list of tags that I've currently already used. Please choose one of those. If not appropriate, create a new one where possible, something like that.
Yeah. Another use case for all this, by the way, I absolutely love this 10 highlights thing.
That was really good.
Like tiny minor misses, but really good stuff in general. We would love to be able to put out a blog post for each of these episodes. But as I said, we're listening to each of these episodes 3 times before we even put it out. We're spending quite a bit of time on these. And we do have other things to do in our day jobs. So we tend to not get blogs done. Though I am actually working on one about the Ray stuff, which is not directly related. But anyway.
There you go.
So I would love to like use something like this as a base draft to get blog posts done more quickly in a timely fashion to go along with the episodes.
How's that?
There you go.
How's that?
Wow. Yep. With Ray Cube Ray, bringing Ray to Kubernetes, future of Ray, key takeaways. Could definitely use that as a base.
Yep. That's not bad. Write a blog post. Do you want it to include the names of the people, or do you just want to use the content?
I would want to include the names of the people.
All right, leave it the way it is. Okay.
For sure. Yeah. If we're associating it with the episode, then we want to call out the these
That's
were
fair.
the guests and this is what the episode was.
That's pretty good.
And also coming back to Phil's question for a second, if this were a prompt that you were considering putting in here, I feel like it's phrased as like a prompt for the AI here. It's interesting to consider learning paths for the podcast because we don't really have it designed that way. We do a lot of similar topics because we're focused in the area of Kubernetes and cloud native software. But it's not like there's a path of like, you should listen to this and then this and then this, and these things go together. But you could create kind of little learning journeys with AI's help. It's an interesting concept.
Oh, interesting. I also wonder if we have stuff like Notebook LLM, depending on how you'd want to do it, you could actually do an LLM bot for your podcast that you could ask questions of the bot.
Oh man!
It could recommend you episodes that you'd be like, oh, this is over here.
Maybe someday. I'm not going to put that high on the priority list. Help me simplify my workflow. That's what I'm going to focus on using the AI for.
There we go. I think this did too much. Just trying to get this to something. That's the reason I'm just playing at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, that's what this whole episode has been.
Literally. Yeah. Phil, did you like any of those ideas? I just want to know. Look, you have a search box already on that, but, or maybe a better answer or another better answer, another answer is recommendations. Ooh, you know how you've got all those ones in there? Could you do something like, there we go. This is looking better.
I think we should just leave this smiley face up here. I think that is what I want to have on this episode.
I don't know.
Thank you very much, Phil, for the smiley face.
This is probably not the way I think it should be done, maybe. But it is interesting in that. So for your prompt, could you say something like, if I enjoyed episode 235, which other episodes would I enjoy?
Episodes should I... Oh man, we could get real annoying with that.
Well, yeah. Other users who listen to this episode also listen to these other episodes.
I feel like that would be a very funny thing to implement for the website. Maybe an April Fool's joke.
It's true. I mean, ultimately, if you're doing like tagging or something like that, you kind of end up in a similar place. If you're tagging, and that would probably be a better way of doing it, or something to do with embeddings to do it that way. But just thought that might be a bit of fun to see if that was going to do it that way.
So this has been awesome. We've definitely made some useful progress here. I think with your exploration of the prompts with the single episode, we have proved that it can definitely give us a good draft baseline of the show notes, which was the primary thing that I wanted to achieve in this. So we've proved that it can do that. I doubt that it's perfect, but I don't need it to be perfect as long as it's a good baseline. I'd be over
that definitely that definitely works for you. It even found LinkedIn profiles for people, which is okay. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Which I need that for the show notes, so that's great. And then I absolutely love the highlights. Like, feed it quite a few episodes,
and like give me the things that you've seen the most. Yeah.
I do wish it could do a full year, but quarterly or like every half year, 6 months, we could do something like that, and that would be good.
It's true. I'm trying to work out if there's a way of like divide and conquering between like or like splitting the workload to get and putting it together somehow. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know. There's got to be a
Look into
way.
it.
I'm sure someone who knows this stuff better than we do has got a way.
Paige.
We say her name 3 times, does she appear? That would be lovely. That would be absolutely delightful.
That would be delightful. I'll have to ask her about it. I think she would enjoy this question. So, Paige, we used up the token window and we need more.
We need more.
What do you recommend?
Is there a bucket somewhere? Can we just get more? Is that just how that works?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like if you can get some sort of metadata out.
Yeah, another good point here from Arjun. If it's on YouTube, which we just recently started putting our episodes on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Follow the Kubernetes podcast on YouTube. I actually don't know where it is. I need to go find that. But
oh, yeah. Yeah, you could do that.
But if it is on YouTube, which it is.
Yeah, and YouTube has an API.
Data API to programmatically change the description, tag, playlist would be helpful. That is something that I am interested in further exploring also because in open source, actually just this week in an open source meeting, we had a big discussion about exploration of AI tools for assisting with open source processes. Which we were not talking about this specific process, but we do upload all of the meeting recordings to YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And we have automation that puts them into their own playlists and does stuff like that.
Makes sense.
But there is potential there for an AI to provide more helpful context.
I'm surprised.
But the volume of it would be so high because we have so many meetings. Having a human check that, at least at the beginning, would be essential, and it might be difficult to do. But an excellent point, and I would love to explore that more.
It may also just fall into that kind of thing where it's like, even if a human doesn't check it, better to have the information than not. Or crowdsource it. Like, hey, if you find a tag that seems inappropriate, like, let us know. And then we'll go fix it. Power of open source. PRs are accepted.
There's a lot of discussions going on right now in the open source community about what do we think is acceptable for use of AI around and within our communities. There are a lot of differing opinions. And part of the whole process of it is just letting folks explore those opinions and discuss them with each other.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
All right,
and
fantastic.
Manual review is important.
Manual review is can't take the human out of the equation. It's always there. Yep. Awesome. All right, I think we're pretty much out of time. Yes, thumbs up.
Yeah.
Are you happy? Do you feel like you've got what you wanted out of this episode to learn to do the things you wanted to do?
Yes, it went better than expected because I thought we were going to need to have the existing show notes examples in order for it to get anything close, but you managed to do it with just explaining to it what the show notes needed to be. I did not have confidence we could even get that far, and we did. So I'm very impressed.
And now, because I know how much you like Bash, you can use the get code stuff, and you can spit out basically a curl statement, and then you can put some Bash around it and tell it to write it to a markdown file, and just be like, sweet.
This is my preferred way to achieve things.
It seems very reasonable. Bash is a great scripting language. Absolutely.
It is wonderful.
Right. Fantastic. Kathleen, anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
Follow the Kubernetes podcast on your preferred tool for following podcasts.
Wonderful. I can definitely say that the Kubernetes podcast is definitely my favorite podcast out of all the podcasts. Yes. Out of all the podcasts I listen to on a regular basis, Kubernetes podcast is my favorite.
Yay. Glad to hear you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Awesome. All right. Well, Kathleen, thank you for joining me today. Everyone, thank you so much. This is episode 3 out of 6. So we still have 3 more episodes left in this season. We have lots of fun stuff still coming. So make sure to check in you'll see the lives are available on the YouTube there. So if you want to get notifications for that, you can go in and click on them. Somewhere there's a link to set up getting calendar invites. So they can be in Google Calendar or other calendars. Or you can just follow me and Kathleen and Aaron, and usually the stuff shows up on social media as well in all the various places. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us, and see many of you all next week. See ya.